Next up, we have Samuel from Vienna, Austria. Samuel is responsible for the developer relations at Storyblok and is usually buried deep in documentation and creating various experiments and demos. As a determined community believer, Samuel co-created multiple meetups and is always happy to help the community in any way necessary. This talk, Samuel's going to talk about going headless from Xero to Next.js Hero. This talk will cover the setup of Next.js project with Storyblok and TailwindCSS, from the beginning to the point of deployment to Vercel. A simple personal blog will also be created, configured, various components for it as well, and Samuel will explain what component-driven development is. Developers will experience how to create a Jamstack project using Next.js, Storyblok, Tailwind, and Vercel. The content editors and managers will learn why the real-time visual editor is the key feature of any CMS. The pace will be fast, so don't get furious when you learn how easy it is. Pace will be fast, you'll have fun. Let's get started. Over to you, Samuel.
Hi everybody, how are you doing today? I hope you had so far a great conference and you are enjoying the talks. So we are going to talk about the headless at this moment for the next 25 minutes, and it will be pretty fast, so I try to keep it short and as fast and slow as possible. You have already heard probably about the headless today on this conference, and also you heard probably about the Storyblok from on one of the talks, as one of our ambassadors, Alba, is speaking also here, and I saw that her talk will be including also the Storyblok. But today now I'm going to talk about React and how you can benefit from headless CMS using the React or the Next.js. So let's start and go from Xero to Next.js Hero. First of all, my name is Samuel SNOPKO. I'm happy to be here. Also, I'm at the moment the head of the developer relations at Storyblok, and I'm also I am still a front-end guy, doing a lot of front-end work, trying different frameworks, and I'm speaker, community believer, and all that stuff. But I don't have a lot of time, so let's jump to the talks. I don't have a lot of slides. We are going to jump directly to the live coding, and basically we are going to discuss how to start to work with the React together with the headless CMS Storyblok. If you want to follow what I'm going to build today, you can go to this link to GitHub and see the final result. Also, there will be some other links later to show you how you can continue with this. So, but let's jump. How you should start with the Next.js and with the React. So how to build your application. Basically, you should go and just go for yarn create next app, and following the some setup and all the dependencies, you will end on a project like this. And this project is all you need to do for the start. Then go for yarn dev, and your localhost should start. So at the moment we see that localhost is starting. I will leave here the full screen and go for localhost. So let's see the localhost, and here in the localhost you see that on my local is already running the Next.js application. So that's great. Those are pretty fast. So what is the next step? The next step would be set up my project also in the headless CMS. So where I am going to take care of my data, of my content, where will be all the workflows and other stuff. So in this case I choose the Storyblok from some reasons you can guess. And we are just going to log in, and after the logout registration process you will end up in something similar, which is like a dashboard of all your projects. I have tons of them and experiments, and you can go and create new project from the scratch. I'm just going to give here a random name. In this case a prepared. You will see that I prepared a lot of already because I'm not good in typing. I'm going to also skip the guide, as I will be your guide, and going to explain a little bit about the Storyblok. So there are a lot of stuff to explain, but at the moment what we will need for this talk is to understand there is a content, and this content we have a story called home. In this case was created automatically. I could create a new one or remove this one. This is basically representing my home page at the moment. It doesn't have to be also a page, always a page, but if I click on it, I will enter a visual editor, where at the moment I don't see any visual preview of my website because I didn't set up that preview at the moment. And on the right hand side I see my content on this story, so on the home. At the moment there's a teaser and grid. And in the grid I see that I have different features, and I can already start editing these features. So I could go and change the feature, I could save it, I could check okay, I did some change, so there's a new version of it. I can also restore the version if I want to really, and it's pretty fast. I I could also like focus on something like a default view. So what headless themes usually have, like no without the visual editor. So we will like hide it, and then you have here this view. Great. So what you will get as developer, because this is the important part, what will get the developer from it? So the developer will get from it a JSON. As I already saved it, you can see that there is a JSON file created, which you can also consume using the GraphQL or the REST API. And using this JSON, you will then render basically a different content using your render service. In this case, we are using the Next.js in a moment. So this was the draft version. The published version is of course a little bit cleaner. As you can see, I have nothing there at the moment because I didn't publish my content. So let's publish it, and let's jump one more time to the published JSON, and you see that there's like a body of my page with multiple components here. One of the components is called teaser, and there's the UID, and the headline of that teaser is hello world. So great. That's basically our content, but there's nothing, so the content is set up. So we have a space where we should consume the content from. So what we should do next? The next is that you maybe notice there is a preview token here in middle. And this preview token I can copy, or even I can go big and create like multiple different API tokens for the like published version of the content or a different environment. So right now, I just use the preview one, which I already copied, and go back to the code. You will have to install also a Yarn Storyblok React Storyblok JS client, which we can check in package because I already prepared for that. So if you open the package JSON, you see that I installed the Storyblok JS client, Storyblok React, and then I also installed the Xero here to get my data from the Storyblok. And this is all you will have to do. I'm just skipping some steps to make it a little bit shorter at the moment. So what next should you do? The next thing you should do is going to Storyblok JS. So let's jump to the Storyblok JS, which is in my library. I created a file Storyblok JS, which will be responsible for the connection to the Storyblok. In this case, I'm using the Storyblok JS client. I already like installed and showed you in the packages. And here you can see that I have an access token. So in the access token, I will replace it with my new access token from the space I just created a few moments ago and save it. That's it. Basically, I will, to be sure, reload also the project. And now I should have a working connection to the Storyblok. So if I now go to localhost 3000, then everything should work, and it works. I mean, like, we don't get any errors, but we don't see also the content from the Storyblok. So, and we would love to probably see the Storyblok content here in this view. So let's fix this first, and then let's get the content there. So you could see here, there is a URL saying like your server address /home should be here. We should probably get here our URL, which at the moment is the localhost, but could be also Vercel, could be also Netlify, could be different stuff where you host your preview environment. So let's back to the settings of my space, and here let's replace the local location, the default environment, with the localhost. And if you like go for the production, then you could go also for something like this. I create multiple preview URLs. Let's save it. Let's go to content, open one more time the home, and see if there's any change. So we are getting the error at the moment, and the error sometimes are good because this is the error means that we connected our preview with the Storyblok. So the Next.js is already connected. It's in this iframe, but there is an error because Next.js doesn't know like what is the home slack. We didn't define that in the pages. If I open the pages, I have here only an index file at the moment. I don't have any router. I didn't created any mapping. So there could be like various ways to fix this. The one of the nicest, the quickest fix is on our side is like just go to the config or your homepage, because in this case this is the homepage, but you need to name it somehow the slack. But at the end it's live on the / so index file, and override only the real path for the visual editor. So in this case, I just overriding here the real path, and after save, I should see my welcome screen from the Next.js, and I see it. So it's working. That's great. So we are doing some progress, but still, I have here a teaser which is saying like hello world. I don't see the hello world here on the into my preview. So what should exactly I do the next? So the next what we should do is load the data and define the components also in the next. So we have some component here in Storyblok, And we based Storyblok on the atomic design. So we here in the component, you can create like multiple multiple levels of components. You have a content types which you are using to define a website, like author page, article page, home page. So it could be like kind of templates, layout stuff. And there's the nest table components, which are nested in other components. And these ones in the content types, those are used to create the stories inside the Storyblok, and the nest table components are used to create the blocks inside those stories. And that's coming to the name from, so Storyblok. But whatever, not important at the moment. So we have here already by default 4 components created. We will create 1 or 2 more later in this tutorial or this call. So let's jump to it. So feature, what is the feature? It's a nest table component and has only one property, type text, with no complicated setup. Then there we have a teaser, the same thing, just a one property with the headline and the text of the text type. Then I have a grid, which is a little bit special because you can see here is a columns called property, and the property column is called is of type blocks. And this basically means that we can add any other components in a nest table component inside these blocks. I could whitelist some of them. So for example, I can add only to add features. So there will be no other option to add only the feature. And then for example, and the last thing is the page with the content type. And here in the page, I define a body as a property, and I could add also multiple like footer or about the footer and stuff like that, or server engine optimization and stuff like that. So here in the blocks, you can add all the other nest table components. So we are allowed to add into the body, basically feature page as feature grid and teaser, right? So how does it look? One more time, the content is that if I open the home, you see that there's a teaser grid, and if I add a new block, I can add a feature grid or teaser to the page. So if I add a teaser and I would select save it, publish it, then and here write a sample, and then go to the publish, then I should see here a sample content. So there is at the end is a component created, which is component type teaser, and the headline is a sample. And there is like special UID. Great. We should now consume and create the same components as we created here in Storyblok. We should create it also in the Next.js, or reverse, like first create them in the Next.js and then create it in the Storyblok. So let's jump back to the Next.js and see what I did here. So what I did here is that I have a components folder very easily and logically. So and in this folder, I just created all my components. So here is the feature, which is also a function basically, and is rendering my divs, which h2 and the block.name. So I'm sending here my data through the like property or prop called block, and then rendering the h2 with some wrappers. Very easy. The same thing I'm doing for the teaser, just rendering stuff. Then the next thing is also I have here a placeholder, which is like just in the case I am sending a component which doesn't exist, then I will render like, okay, there is no such component. Then I have also the grid, where it's getting already a little bit more complicated because I don't know always what will be in the grid. There could be like feature, teaser, different components. So, okay, I have here kind of a dynamic component, which I explain in a second. And here using the dynamic component, I am rendering a dynamic component inside the UL, so under the list with some Tailwind styling. Okay, so what is the dynamic component is the question right now. The dynamic component just import and basically register all my components I need to and use it. There's like multiple ways how to do this. So in this case, you can see that I have like teaser, feature, grid, and placeholder. Then I am also like registering in them. Here is use the placeholder, and basically the dynamic component according to the block. So prop which is getting this dynamic component is deciding which component we are going to render. So here you can see that, okay, exists such a component in the dynamic component. If yes, okay, register it, render it. But there's some trick because we are also rendering some SB editable. And this is a special thing we in Storyblok just inserted, and we're still working and making it even better. So this is enabling us to also connect our right-hand side editor in the Storyblok with your Next.js preview and basically make and hate the experience for your users, for your content editors, that they can click and also identify very easy which component they are editing. So you will see that in a second. And that's coming from the Storyblok React, which we also installed, begging, and I preview that in the package JSON. Okay, great. I still didn't show you the page.js. So page.js is doing the same thing using the dynamic component, because we don't know what components will be rendered at this time and point of time. And then, of course, there will be this SB editable, which I will explain in a second. And that's it. So what I need to do right now is probably, as you could see, I am using a lot of Tailwind, so I should register Tailwind library. So if I'm correct, that should be in my app. So let's remove the global CSS and let's add the Tailwind, which I already configure, right? I can close this. And then let's check what's going on here. So I show that I have a component, but my preview still doesn't work. That's like a little bit changing in the styles because I removed the original CSS and added Tailwind CSS, but still I don't see those components here. And why I don't see those components very easily? I didn't load them. Still, I didn't load them into the next app. So in this preview or in this talk, I'm just doing that using the index.js file, but you can like abstract it outside to a separate JS file. So here in the index.js, I'm going to remove the default styling from basically from the Next theme, which they are providing and which you will get after the initialization of your project. And here adding my own code. So now the rebuilding and compiling should happen. And now what we are doing here. So very quickly, we will be using get static props function. I'm going to register here the Storyblok, which was the Storyblok JS library responsible for the connection to the Storyblok. Then I'm going to use a Storyblok hook, which I will explain in a second, because we would like to have a real-time editing, a real-time update inside the get static props using the get static props function. So you will see that's pretty cool stuff. Then I am loading the page, because in this case I know that I have only one type of the page or of the content type, and it's a page. So I'm going to load the page, and I have a layout because this is, or I found this sound recommended in the next tutorials. So what's happening here is, as you can see, that I am going to use a prop story, which is the hook. I will get there in a second. Then I am going to render some HTML where if I have a story from the Storyblok, then I am going to basically write a layout with the page inside, and in that page I'm going to send the story.content. Okay, so how I'm going to get my content is using the get static props at the moment. I'm going to statically get it always from the home for this tutorial. If you will go for a real or production project, like real project, you will of course do this dynamically, and it will be not statically home. And also the version of the params wouldn't be only draft, but you will be like switching between draft and publish according to the environment. Where are you at the moment and where are you deploying? So in this case, I have a params. Then for the context preview, I have also some setup, which it's described better in the tutorial and the link I will be providing to you. And then later, basically, I'm getting here using the Storyblok. I'm asking for my story. So in this case, this is home, and using the params, which are the draft version, and there's a resolve relations, which I also explain a little bit later. So after the save, what's happened? So we should see our page, and yes, we see a page, and there's already the hello world code. And even there's this outline. As you can see, I can click and highlight in the green one, a green highlight or outline a component, and I see also as the component are changing on the right hand side. So if I click the feature tree, then you see also the feature is changing. I can also go to the page level and like rearrange the stuff, and you see that it's changing the positions. I could open the grid, select everything, copy paste, edit, and save it. Then I can like preview if it look good. Doesn't look good on the mobile, so let's remove these three components, maybe also remove the sample on the bottom and save it, and like only save it if you are happy with the content, that you will not pollute your history. So great, it is work. the question is like, okay, this is very simple hello world symbol, but let's create something with it. And second, Frank, how does this black magic work? Why there is this real-time editing that if I click here, then this is really cool and basically works with images and everything you would like to throw at it. So how does this work? It's back to the code. The magic is hidden right now in the hook, and it's about the story and how you will update the story. So if I go to the story hook in the library in Storyblok hook, and then basically I'm going to set here my story, or create a function set story, which is the state of the story we'll be setting. And here I'm initializing basically an event listener and also Storyblok bridge, which was registered also already by the installing the packages. So in the window, we know that we can initialize the Storyblok bridge because we are inside the Storyblok editor in iframe. And in this case, we can listen using the Storyblok to change event and publish event. So that's the save basically and publish. And in this case, I would reload. But as I have a modern framework, which is a net React or like Vue.js, Svelte, and all these, or even like you can do that with PHP, you can get a real-time editing experience. And the real-time is basically you are listening for the input event. In the input event, we are sending you to event object, where in the event object you will get a new, basically new data. So you will check if you are on the correct story, and then you will replace basically the old data with the new data, and instantly you will get an update. And in this case, there's one adult catch, but I will get it in the moment. So this is the black magic I explained. And now let's head back and enhance this hello world sample. So we are going to create a component, and I'm going to create a component called articles because we would like to have a proper article on our website. So let's create an article, and let's add to article some properties. I will add a title, and hopefully I will not do any typos. So let's add a title, hero, image, then let's add an intro and author, and prose. Where would we keep our text of our article? So it's very simple. So the title in this case, it's just a text type. Great, I could require it, but let's keep it simple at the moment. The hero image should be probably an image, so let's go for assets and let's choose the image. Great. Then the intro, I would love to have a longer text, so text area, but without any possibilities basically editing or styling. Then let's have authors. There are like tons of the way how you can implement the authors, like request from the external JSON API, or you can like create your own data sources. But let's create this one of the simplest one, and that's a single option. And so I will be one author, of course. And let's add the second author, which will be Dominic. So this is like name value, so key value pairs in this case. And the last is the prose. So this will be like the rich markdown or MDX or the rich text editor. So I'm like fan of the rich text editor. You will get a nice JSON. You can do whatever you don't want to with it, and even include a component inside. Great. So let's save it. And I created just a schema for my article, and I even can go to my content editors and tell them like, hey guys, you can create the content of the articles without even like having the preview. So I will create for you an articles folder, right? And I will choose that you can add their articles, of course. And let's create the articles. So let's hit the entry. So let's enter the article folder, click the entry, and let's create the article number 1. So let's call it article 1, and let's save it. And here I can add the headline. Let's put article 1. Then I can add there some intro text. And also I have here the talks folder. So let's add their image number 1. I'm happy with this. And as you see, of course, I don't have any preview. So let's wait the image is uploaded and like hide and focus only on the form of that. The author will be me in this case, and here I would write my text. Right, makes sense? I will save it, and I will jump back and I will create 2 more articles very quickly. Just pause the recording for that. So I don't have a lot of time. I created the 3 articles and now we need to feature them on the homepage. So let's jump back to the homepage, and I would like to feature them here on the bottom to have a featured articles component, but I don't have the article here in my project. So let's jump back to the component, create very quickly a featured article, featured articles component, which is nestable. Add it there. There should be articles, which I will pick by hand, articles, add. And these articles will be like a multi-option from a stories. I will be picking them by hand, and it will be like articles, and save it. So I created basically another component which is nestable. I can go to component, content, in the component here, add a new block, and I see the featured articles. And as you can see, the component feature is not defined in the Next.js. So let's choose my articles, let's save it. You can also publish it. You can see that those articles are here on the bottom already. There are those UIDs, and we need to also enable them in and here in the Next.js. So let's open one more time the dynamic component and just uncomment my code and explain very quickly what the featured articles are. So they are just getting same as always the block, the data of it. Then they are basically rendering here an unordered list of the article teaser, and the article teaser in this case is if you look here into the article teaser, is rendering an image which some replacements, so using our image service, Storyblok image service. And then there's the image, then there's the title, intro, and the outro, which we defined on the article. And the one last thing I forgot is that I also like define the title on the featured articles. So as I save it, it should work, and we see basically our preview. And we see the content of those articles. We have a previews. There's one error because we have this yellow block here. So define the schema, fix that. Let's add a title. So save the schema and add the title as featured articles. So we have that, great, save it. And now I could go and also like reorder those articles, because I can like move the article number 1 on the first place and the third one on the last place. I can save it. And what I can do also, which is cool, is like copy paste very quickly and reuse using the atomic design basically, and the same component I already created, I could create and use that multiple times. So let's call it Sam's article, and let's remove the Dominic's article here and show only the Sam's. So the last question you would have probably is like, how this is work? Wait, there was like just UIDs in JSON. So exactly, I have the UIDs of these articles. And here in code, you could see that in the Storyblok hook that I'm basically using a resolve relation function from the Storyblok, which will resolve my UIDs in the case that I have a relations to a different stories, like the featured articles .article, they will send me the data of that article. And this is the whole black magic. So using this, you can create very quickly anything you want. And that was the quick demo I wanted to give you with the Next.js. And basically you see that this is something you could deploy the next moment. But still the question is like, what you should do next? So the next, you could finish this by yourself, going to storyblok.com/tp/Next.js React guide. And basically just follow the tutorial and guide we have there and finish the website like you see on the picture. The next thing is also like, I can encourage you to go to tc/Next.js, where we have all the crazy materials and also like videos how to do this stuff. It's great, just go for it. Also, as I don't have a lot of time, but I always want to, I'm just a pretty face, and behind not me, but like behind the whole Storyblok, there is a great team of the people working and delivering all these cool features and working every day to make it even better. So if you like them, and if you like what you saw, give us follow on the Storyblok on the Twitter, and if you have any questions, you can follow me on the Twitter, you can ask me in direct messages, and also you can ask me in a few minutes or seconds in the Q&A. Thank you very much. That was me, and that was all from my side. And I hope the conference will be great or was great. So see ya.
Whoa, Samuel, what a great talk. You covered so many technologies and you did it from beginning to end, which was really interesting and awesome. Thank you so much for that. I think you've given so much food for thought for everybody. I think we're all going to go have a play now. Everyone, don't forget to go follow Samuel on social so you can keep up to date with all the awesome things that are going on.